Hello everyone, a very, very good evening, and welcome to this, the full choir rehearsal for Haydn's wonderful Harmoniemesse. And this is week 6 of our course, but it's a very special rehearsal tonight because this is the beginning of a week of open rehearsals. And so we've got people watching tonight who are not currently full members of Choir of the Earth. It is an open door session, and we do hope that everyone watching, whether you are a current member, a former member, or this is all completely new to you, we hope you enjoy tonight's session. My name is Ben. I have the privilege of being the musical director of this wonderful choir. I've been so for nearly 5 years, and this work that we're looking at tonight, well, this is a fabulous piece of music by none other than Joseph Haydn, who was, I think, one of the most important composers of the classical era, alongside, of course, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who was a dear friend of his. And this piece is particularly important because, well, it's the last piece that Haydn ever completed. And after decades of work, some incredible, over 100 symphonies, string quartets, keyboard pieces, operas, and masses, this is his swan song. So we've been looking at this work over the last few weeks. The outline for this session tonight is I've just got a couple of updates for everyone watching, and then we'll have a vocal warm-up. We're going to look at some of the music that we looked at last week, and then we're going to look ahead to the music for this week, where everyone is joining in. We're looking at the Sanctus from the Harmoniemesse, and if you'd like to use the vocal score, we will link to that score in the description. It's a free PDF, so do feel free to sing along. But first of all, as I just said, I think we need to have our news update. So here we go into news mode. So of course, everyone, it's the Haydn Harmoniemesse, part of our 6 late masses series. We, of course, are delighted to welcome everyone to our week of open rehearsals. Do share these rehearsals with anyone you think would be interested. As you can see, we have a packed week, full choir tonight. Tomorrow, it's the basses, and then Wednesday, sopranos and altos and tenors on Thursday. Note the times, everyone, 5 p.m. UK time for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 7 till 9 on Thursdays. That's our regular time slots. So, of course, it's all about Haydn at the moment, because not only are we learning the Harmoniemesse together, but I am on tour around the UK at the moment. In fact, as you're watching this, I'm not actually here in Bristol where I'm based. I'll actually be in Norwich, ready to take the session tomorrow on Tuesday, 4th of March at the Octagon Unitarian Chapel in Norwich. If you're around, you'd like to come and join us, there are still places available. You can find out how to join us via the website, or you can scan the QR code here on screen. I'll then be in Manchester at the Halle St. Peter's on the 6th of March, so just a couple of days' time. And then we're in Edinburgh at St. Cuthbert's on the Royal Mile on Saturday. So fantastic events. Do come and join us. Do support your events. If you're a long-term member of Choir of the Earth, well, you're going to want to be part of this. And of course, the Nelson Mass doesn't finish there, because we're heading to Vienna and Eisenstadt later on this year in September. We have pretty much sold out, but I understand there will be a few rooms made available. We've managed to squeeze some more people in, and so keep an eye on the website for updates about that. If it's the first time you're hearing about it, it's an opportunity to go to Vienna to rehearse the Nelson Mass with yours truly, and then to take a coach to the palace at Esterházy, where Haydn, of course, lived and worked for many years, and we're going to sing the work there at the Haydn Hall with the professional orchestra, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Now, it's not all about Haydn here. We also look at music by a wealth of other composers, and we're going to be revisiting, well, probably the greatest choral work of all time later this year, Handel's Messiah. Now, nearly 5 years ago to the day, we launched this choir with a project to sing and learn and then ultimately record Messiah in lockdown. Now, 5 years on, we've learnt a lot, and we'd love to invite you to take part in that. If you're watching, you can sign up for Choir of the Earth, and you can be part of our Messiah project, which starts at the end of June. But for those of you who are supporters of Choir of the Earth, we would love to redo the guide tracks for this. At the moment, as you remember, I sang all of the guide parts for our 2021 recording of Messiah, and we really would like to replace yours truly with the professional singers of the Fieri Consort. So if you'd like to help us, we have a crowdfunder currently running to raise the money that we need to pay Fieri to record these guide tracks. And then, of course, these will become part of the Choir of the Earth Library, which is going to be our repository for all our teaching and all our guide tracks. So help us out. Please do give what you can, because that will all go to the Fieries to produce our guide tracks, which is very, very exciting. Now, of course, we've got lots going on in addition to Haydn and Handel. We have our Summer School Live 25 event, which is in Bristol. Booking is now open for everyone, choir members and for everyone in the wider community. It's going to be a fabulous programme of music, including Indodana, Quanta Qualia, The Rose by Oliello, Upon Your Heart by Leonard Daly. We've got Bridge Over Troubled Water and Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, and the world premiere of Eric Weatherall's Vocalise, which I'll be playing you in full at the end of tonight's rehearsal. So don't go anywhere. This is going to be an opportunity to hear this stunning piece, which is gentle, lyrical, with a wonderful saxophone solo. All the details here on screen. You get to take part in the most fantastic trip, and you can find out how to join us by going again to the Choir of the Earth website, go to the events and sign up. We have limited places. We've already sold lots, so please do consider coming along and joining us in Bristol. And what a programme we have here on Choir of the Earth. As you know, we've just finished teaching Mahler's 8th. That's the Symphony of 1000. And a quick note to Choir of the Earth members, remember that we have a recording window for part 2 that is now open, and that closes in April, and then the engineers are going to get mixing. So do submit as many parts as you can. We're currently working our way through the Haydn Harmoniemesse. We've got a quartet of Kyries coming up soon, and more on that in a minute. We'll be announcing the latest Around Sound series of lectures, which I'm calling the Elements of Music, so that you can learn the difference between timbre and texture and rhythm and tempo, and it's going to be an exploration of music of all styles and genres, so that you can speak knowledgeably about music, which I think is something that is of great interest to those of us who love this gorgeous art. Now, in the summer, we have our summer school for 2 months, and then we've got Messiah, as I said, starting in June. Now, the Quartet of Kyries, just a quick note, this is starting soon. This is starting in 3 weeks' time, and this is a fabulous course where we've just snipped the Kyrie from a number of particular masses, and they're kind of standalones, really. We're going to learn the Kyrie from Palestrina's Messe Papa Marcelli. We have the Kyrie in D minor by Mozart, which was a standalone movement that might have become an entire mass had Mozart lived a bit longer. As it is, it's fantastic, dramatic and dark. We've got the beautiful Kyrie from Schubert's Mass in A flat, one of his last pieces, and a work that we will be looking at next year. Quick bit of announcement there for Choir of the Earth. And then we have the Kyrie from Reinberger's Double Mass in E flat. And this is a cappella. It's beautiful. It's got Choir of the Earth written all over it. And I thought I'd give you a little preview, all of you, of how this is going to sound. So here's a minute or so of Reinberger's Kyrie from the Double Mass in E flat. Do enjoy. The Kyries on the 24th of March. Those of you who are not members of Choir of the Earth at the moment, well, that session will be open as well for people to hear, and you can sign up then and come and join us for the Kyries course. Following that is Summer School and Messiah, just a fabulous program. And remember, at the end of this session, I'm going to play you the entire track of Eric Weatherall's Vocalise, which I promise you is absolutely worth hearing. But at the moment, well, we are working our way through the wonderful Harmoniemesse by Joseph Haydn, and we have already, at this point in the rehearsal process, this is week 6, so we've already taught and begun recording the Kyrie eleison, all 3 sections, all 3 chunks of the Gloria, and the Credo, which took 2 weeks because there were 4 sections. This week, as you can see here clearly on screen, we're looking at the Sanctus, and before we launch into listening to that and enjoying that, we're going to revise what we did last week. So if I could invite all of you, please, to have your scores ready. Do make sure you've got a drink of water to stay hydrated. I think what we'll do is we shall warm ourselves up. So if I could invite you all, put everything down. Great, you got your scores and your drinks handy, put them to one side. And then if I could invite you to give yourself a lovely straight back and a long neck, and just start to roll your head around. Whether you're seated or standing, it's absolutely fine. Just have that straight back and that long neck. Feet flat on the floor if that's possible. Feel that connection down with the ground, drawing strength up from the earth. And as you breathe out, get rid of any tension and any stress and have it just flow out into the air or down into the ground so it can be carried away. And all you can do then is to focus on your breathing. So let's take a nice deep breath in together and breathe out. Wonderful. And again, we'll breathe in and we'll breathe out. And one more, really gather up that breath and breathe out and let it carry away any tension, any stress, leaving you feeling lovely and relaxed. And just breathe normally, maybe a little bit more deeply than usual as you just roll your shoulders round a little bit. Nice, deep, relaxing, cleansing breaths. Remember, carrying away any tension, breathing in a lovely feeling of singing with friends. And as you breathe out, just going to continue to roll those shoulders around. And then I'm going to bring our shoulders up to our ears, everybody. And as we take a deep breath, we're going to allow ourselves to relax those shoulders as we breathe out. Here we go. Fabulous. Well done, all of you. Right, let's make some sound. Just going to start here on A C, whichever octave suits you. We're going to just hum and keep that sound going. Breathe whenever you like. Take a deep breath and off we go. And again. Lovely. Now an N for November. Deep breath and now an ooh with your lips pushed forwards and lovely. Now we'll have an O with a drop jaw and lovely stuff. Well done, everyone. We'll just have a couple of little shapes. Ya, ya, ya. Here we go. And ya, ya, ya. Again. Ya, ya, ya. Ya, ya, ya. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, yo, yo. One more. Yo, yo, yo. Fabulous. Now, altos and basses might want to drop down the octave if it starts to get a little bit on the high side. But we're going to sing to a ma. Here we go. And ma. Splendid. Thank you very, very much indeed, everybody. So let's turn our attention to the work for this evening. And I'm going to ask you, those of you who've got the scores in front of you, we're going to sing through the music that we looked at in last week's session in week 5. And there were 2 chunks remaining from the Creed. The first 2 chunks were week 4. Last week was week 5. So the third chunk of the Creed, the first one we looked at last week, was Et resurrexit tertia die secundum scripturas. And on the third day he rose again in accordance with the scriptures. And so it's page 43 of the PDF, and it goes through to page 48. Just to remind you, everyone, as we're going to sing this through in a moment with our wonderful guide tracks, all mixed together, so you're not going to hear one voice louder in this particular part. Obviously, as we go through this week and we're exploring the Sanctus, you will hear each part, each stem, as it's called, played louder, and our guide tracks are available in the members area for you to rehearse along with. This is a full mix, how the choir sounds when they sing all together. It's also worth noting here a couple of things about the music before we sing it. First of all, it's always worth just taking note of the time signature, taking note of the performance directions before you set out. That's a little bit like planning your route before you go on a journey. So the tempo marking is vivace, which is fast and full of life, vivacious. We then have a forte dynamic, and we have 4 beats in a bar. So it's quite fast. Et resurrexit tertia die secundum scripturas. Lots and lots of drama, lots of majesty. Quite a big sound for the first couple of pages of this movement. As we move on to the second page of this section, so it's everything from letter F, on page 44, we have a slightly more sort of fanfare-like section, Et iterum venturus est cum gloria, and this is supported by a rather acrobatic organ part played for us by the incredible Richard Gowers, our organist. Judicare vivos vivos, he will come again to judge the living, et mortuos, and the dead. And that's a dark echo, really, at the top of page 45. And as we proceed through the movement, there's various opportunities for you to really just infuse it with as much drama and as much majesty as possible. Really look out for the dynamics. When it's marked piano, please do sing it softly. And at the end of this section, everything from letter K, in remissionem peccatorum, this is where the mood really changes. And the last section, this section, which really does remind me of Handel's Messiah, the last sort of 6 bars of page 48. Mortuorum, and then leaving us on that cadence, wondering where we're headed. Well, let's delay the finding out for a moment, and let's sing all the way through Et resurrexit. I'll give you your notes. Basses are here. This is the top of 43. Tenors, altos, and sopranos. Okay? Here we go, everyone. Here is Et resurrexit. Enjoy. And... Et resurrexit, 1, 2, 3. Et ascendit in caelum, et ascendit in caelum. Sedit ad dexteram Patris. Midline of 44. With sopranos and altos. 2, 3, 4. And then dark. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Page 46. Start to take a deep breath. 2, 3. Et in spiritu sanctum Dominum et vivificantem. Et in spiritu sanctum Dominum et vivificantem. 1, 2, 3, 4. Deep breath. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Chorus. Holding the last note. There we go. Isn't that fantastic music? So much drama, so much contrast, a real sense of theatricality here. As I've said throughout the teaching for this wonderful piece, and indeed the Nelson Mass, do remember that Haydn, although he's not known for it, was an opera composer. So he knew how to really tug on the heartstrings, how to create an emotional content, and also to have little bits of word painting where the music suggests indeed what the words are saying. So when we have judicare vivos, to judge the living, that's big and loud and intense, and then et mortuos is like a whisper, and the dead. So we have all of these wonderful contrasts. Just to pick out a couple more little details before we listen to the next chunk. The bottom of page 46, sopranos. That beautiful, beautiful line. As I said during the teaching for this, the whole point of the E flats there on "Et ex patre" is to make the D sound sad. Yeah. Up wherever it is. That note is there to make the note sound sad. So really do lean into it for me. And then that last mortuorum, just be careful, those of you who are setting out to record this one this week, the tempo doesn't slow down as much as you might think in those last 6 bars. Mortuorum, just a little hold into the first pause, and then proceeds on quite swiftly. And then it'll hold, and then the last chord does last a good long while, so just be ready for that. But I'm very much looking forward to hearing the end result of your recordings for that, everyone. So do set out and get those into us. You've got plenty of time to get the recordings done, and our engineers will then stitch it all together to create, I think, the world's first digital choir performance of Haydn's Harmoniemesse, which is very exciting. Now, speaking of exciting, let's turn to page 49, please, which is just over the page, just over the fences, as it were. And this is the last section of the movement, of the credo, Et vitam venturi seculi, and the life of the world to come. Amen. And so Haydn, I love how forward-thinking this movement is in terms of its harmony, in terms of its shape. So many features here that Haydn was clearly innovating with. And even at this stage in his career, his last work, he's not content to just sit back and coast and write something that sounds like everything else. He is pushing forwards, he's trying new ideas, and in doing so is directly influencing the music of not just the life of the world to come, but the composers of the century to come. And of course, Beethoven was a student of Haydn's, and in his later life at least was a friend. Schubert studied Haydn's music. Everyone knew Haydn's music, and you can hear so many little features that would be picked up and developed by these great romantic composers. Now, it starts off with the basses coming in halfway through the first bar. As before, though, let's just take a moment to remind ourselves, again, tempo-wise, it's vivace, fast, vivacious, full of life. Do also note the time signature here. It's 6/8. And so this is what we call compound time, where we have, instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, it's 6 beats grouped into groups of 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, straight away you get that kind of lilting, swaying feel to the movement. 1 et vitam venturi seculi, amen. And it should make you think of a dance, a celebratory dance in compound time, because that is clearly what Haydn is getting at here. Remember, these masses were all produced for the princess of the Esterhazy family for her name day, for her birthday. Okay, and so this is a really, really great example of how Haydn really understood the brief. It was supposed to be celebratory, and so therefore he absolutely nails it here. It's a fugue, so that means the basses come in first, then the tenors come in a few bars later, then the altos, and then the sopranos, of course, coming in and bringing up the rear. A quick note for those of you setting out to record this one, or a couple of notes. First of all, just be aware that there's a solo section on page 52, which proceeds on to page 53. Make sure you've got that marked in. So we're not recording the solos for this one. It is the choir parts only. Do also remember, for everyone, the note that I gave you when I was teaching this to you, a fugue is not an opportunity for you to sing your line as loudly as possible. And I've been working with choirs long enough to know that when we see a fugue, the idea that it's up to us to belt this line out just as loudly as we can, you can see it taking hold in the choir. And the problem is, it's a bit like having a conversation where everyone is coming in at the top of their voice. It quite quickly turns into a shouting match. And so just be aware, be really sensitive to the other parts when you're singing the fugue subject. When you're singing that, or any version of that, then you are basically in charge. You're holding the talking stick, as it were. Okay? Everyone else should be supportive of you and your moment. When you're not singing that part of the tune, you should be aware that someone else in the choir probably is, and so you bring your level down so that you create a sense of give and take, which is enticing and intriguing to the listener, rather than just blasting, yelling your way through the fugue, which is very tiring to listen to say nothing, of course, of tiring to sing. So as we proceed through this, the first couple of pages are probably the most demanding for the majority of the choir. So this is one to really practice and use our world-class guide tracks and the teaching that I did for you last week. Make sure you're being really, really particular about the dynamics as before. They're all very carefully marked in the score and in the sound slices which we've shared with the choir. So make sure you use those resources. They are unique, they are phenomenal, and they will really help you with this, with the learning for this one. And for the most part, just make sure as you're singing, you're smiling, because that comes across not just when you are looking at someone, but when you listen to them. If you don't believe me, ring someone who's in a good mood, and you'll be able to hear straight away that they're smiling. Okay, so let's give it a go. This is Et Vitam. You hear the organ play on the first beat, and then the basses come in. And this is our wonderful Fieri consort and Richard Gowers. Here we go. And tenors, altos, Now solos. More solo. Rainy sopranos. And there you have it. What a fabulous piece of music. Now, I do appreciate those of you who are used to hearing the one voice louder parts leading you through, guiding you through. When you hear it all mixed together, those parts blend to create the overall sound. And so don't be surprised if you find it very difficult, in fact, as you're still learning it, to sing along with these full versions. Remember, you've got the teaching from last week where we went through every single note line by line. You've got the sound slices now, which we've just released for you, which are for you to go away and to spend time with. If you haven't seen them yet, watch the town hall from last week. That's Choir of the Earth members. And we take you through it. We show you all of these movements and you can now access those. And they're a great learning resource. We've got the voice louder parts. I mean, really, you've got everything you need to spend time with and to get to know this music before you come to record it. And don't feel you have to rush. There's plenty of time, there's weeks and weeks and weeks to practice this, get it recorded and send it in to us. And as I say on the guide tracks and on the conducting tracks for all of you, thank you for your hard work. So that is last week. Let's have a look at the music to come. And so this is the Sanctus. And this is the fourth movement of the Mass. So of course, we've sung many, many chunks and many, many sections. Let me just take a moment to check that my teaching is in place. So I'm going to show you here on screen. This is a screenshot of the PDF. And this is the one that was marked up for us by none other than the great Josh Cooter, who is the producer who puts together our guide tracks and also a fabulous singer from the Fieri Consort. So as you can see, he's marked this score up with various little markings in red. They're not all the way through, but these are to show what he asked the Fieri Consort singers to do. So for example, here on screen, we can see the beginning of the Allegro, which is page 56, and you can see Gloria, Gloria tua. So we're going to take a break after the Gloria. It's written there in red. That's just to make sure it's nice and clean. And as we go through, there's not too many of those, and they're mainly there in the first part. That's because this first half of the Sanctus is, and as we've done all evening, I'd just encourage you to look at the tempo marking, which is adagio. It's very easy to look at music and immediately start looking for your line and start looking for your notes, but it's always worth to look at the context. It's slow. It's in 3/4. So it's Sanctus, Sanctus. And another thing to note here, if you hadn't already spotted, is that the choir are not singing in the first 6 bars. You're not. It's solo only here for the first 6 bars. So the soloists sing Sanctus, 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 Sanctus. And then on the second system, the second line down on page 54, tutti. That is group. That's everyone. That's the choir. Okay, so it's almost as if the angels are appearing to sing Holy, Holy. And they start off quietly. The second time they sing, it's louder. And then the last time that it's sung, it's the full host, heavenly host of angels, played of course by your good selves, coming in at tutti and singing this line which begins in harmony and then moves into unison partway through the second bar of this phrase, and then moves down to a darker, sort of quieter dynamic as we sing. Okay, so we have a rather dramatic opening here. Big, big and loud, and then bringing it down to earth for Deus Sabaoth. And it's Sabaoth, everyone, please. Sabaoth. Then the soloists sing at the bottom of page 54. And again, as they sing at the top of page 55, it's the idea that each of these statements is getting louder and louder, propelling us to the choir's next entry at letter A at the top of 55. Dominus Deus, Deus Sabaoth, Deus Sabaoth. And there's a really, really sweet little section here. It starts off, as you can see at A, with stretched notes, pulling these phrases across several bars, and then a little bit of lovely figuration for the sopranos and the altos there at Deus Sabaoth. Then at the allegro, if you notice, it changes from slow to fast at the top of 56. It's almost as if the choir has been plugged in. Okay, suddenly it's zap, dum ba da bum 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 bum, pleni sunt celi et terra, gloria, gloria tua. Okay, really, really carefully articulated, full of energy, full of excitement. And then what follows is a wonderful hosanna in eggshells, everyone. Eggshells. Doesn't matter what Fieri is singing, it's definitely eggshells as we go through. And the chromaticism here, the pushing up through. We're using those semitones to just ratchet up the tension and the drama. And a really, really fabulous set of phrases at letter B at the bottom of page 56 for the tenors and basses. Really using chromaticism again, these ideas of semitones to create this very 19th century sound. Even though it was only, I think, the second or third year of the century, Haydn was already breaking away from the 18th century. Then we got this section for solos at the top of 57. Now, I don't know about you, if you're fans of jazz and Gershwin, there's several notes there, several chords that make me think of Rhapsody in Blue. With so much kind of proto-jazzy harmony there. And then a big finish, which is grand and majestic. Let's have a listen to it. We'll pick out a couple more features and then we'll have it again, I think. This is the work of this week. And I will tell you all that this is not going to be a long rehearsal when we're doing this. I think each of your sectional rehearsals this week ran to around about just over 40 minutes because this is not a long movement. And so as I'm away on tour this week and I've pre-recorded all of the sessions, well, you get a little bit of time off for good behaviour. But I will be back, of course, live next week to look at the Benedictus and the Agnus. So enjoy it while you can. Here it is from the start. Remember, it's soloists first. And we'll have the full mixed version. And this is Fieri and Richard Gowers. Here we go. Sanctus and... Come in here, we sing. Sanctus, Dominus Deus, Deus Sabaoth. Lovely. Now, last two bars of 54 are solos again. Sanctus, Sanctus. Sanctus, Sanctus. Now, letter A. And one. And one. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 1. There we go. Short and sweet, full though of drama, full of opportunities to really tease out the musicality here. If we start at the allegro, at the midpoint, just note how carefully this has been articulated. Pleni sunt ceni et terra. Okay, it's got to have a slightly more separated feel to what's come before. And then we get into this section, Hosanna in excelsis. Remember, eggshells, please. Hosanna, da, da, in excelsis. So dramatic, so interesting harmonically. Letter B, as I've already said, basses and tenors. Hosanna, Hosanna in excelsis. Really using that descending line and then the semitone each time to just give us the sense of rising drama. And over the top of that, of course, sopranos and altos. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 1 in excelsis, growing through the note to where it changes to create maximum drama. And a little feature which I know I talk about in the full choir rehearsals for this week, because as I've already said, I pre-recorded them for you. I just want to highlight a little bit of interest, musically speaking. At the end of the first half of that, Deus Sabaoth, there's just a beautiful little moment here where the sopranos and altos sing in sixths, so they are 6 notes apart. And one of the things that I'm particularly surprised and delighted about here is harmonically is the chord that's created at the end of the first bar as the sopranos and altos. Well, if I give you the context, so we get a da 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 da. Now, you might expect them to go, but actually you get that chord, which in the context of what's being played, you get that, which it gives you this crunch just before it resolves. And that's called an anticipation. Composers like Henry Purcell, of course, did that a lot during the 17th century, but it wasn't something that the 18th century composers did to that extent. And this is Haydn just in a tiny fraction of a beat doing something really daring and really interesting and really romantic. So with all those features in place, let's have it one more time. This is the work of this week. As I said, it's not going to be a desperately demanding week for all of you. That being said, there's some lovely corners in the Benedictus that you're going to love, and the Agnus Dei, the Dona Nobis Pacem. More on that in a minute. That's a very special sing with lots and lots of challenge. So consider this a little kind of oasis before we launch into some more wonderful, challenging music. Once more from the top, Sanctus, Sanctus. Remember the soloists sing, and then we join in on the next system. Here we go, and... Sanctus, Sanctus. 1, 2, 3. Now this is solo again. Sanctus, Sanctus. Sanctus. Now start to take a deep breath, choir, as we come in here and good. wonderful anticipation. And 1, 2, 3. And 1. Basses and tenors. Basses. And 1. Fabulous. So that's our rehearsals for this week, everyone. The Sanctus. And as advertised, everyone is very, very welcome to come along and see what we do. The score is a PDF, which we will link to in this video. And I'll ask the team to do the same for each of the sectionals so that you have that available if you wish to use it. Now, of course, next week, we're going to be looking at the beautiful Benedictus, which starts on page 58 and goes on to page 68. So as we always do, what we're going to do now is have a little listen to the Benedictus in advance of next week, just so it's in your head and you're starting to listen to it. Don't forget, the week after that is the Agnus Dei, which is the last week of this course, the final course, the final movement that Haydn ever wrote. And the Agnus Dei itself, the first half of it is solo, so it's just the Dona Nobis Pacem that the choir will sing. And then hidden within the Agnus Dei is a quote. It's a bit of Mozart. It comes from the Magic Flute, and I've issued a challenge to members of Choir of the Earth. It's to see if they can find it. I'm not going to reveal where it is until week 8. A couple of people have had a guess so far. No one has got it yet. So I shall give you a further clue as to what's being quoted. What's being quoted? It is an aria. An aria from the Magic Flute. A very famous aria is being quoted in this movement, in the Agnus Dei. So those of you with the PDF, have a look through. I'm not going to give you any more clues until next week, and then I shall reveal all in week 8. So let's have a little listen to the Benedictus, which starts on page 58. This is our learning journey for next week. And I just want you to pay attention as we go through this to what's going on in the bass line at various points, because my goodness me, I said earlier on, talk about proto-jazz. Have a listen to this. Here's the Benedictus. This is next week's learning. Enjoy. Letter B. Now this little section is soloists. Still solo.
Benedictus, qui venit in
letter C. Now here come the choir. 1, 2, 3.
Benedictus reverit in nomine Domini. Benedictus reverit in nomine Domini.
Ready, tenors, letter D. And basses. Middle of 63. Letter E. Letter F. Now solo. Isn't this gorgeous? Letter G. Now here come the choir. There we are, everyone. What a fabulous piece of music, and the more eagle-eared and eyed amongst you will note that the Hosanna in Excelsis is the same as at the end of the Sanctus, so lots and lots of fun to be had next week. And do note as you go through, as you listen to that, just be aware of where it's solo and where it's tutti. I have to say, all of the slightly trickier stuff, thankfully Haydn has given to the soloist, so we can just enjoy a really, really good sing. Now, speaking of a really good sing, of course, one of the things we do here at Choir of the Earth is we do a wide range of musical styles. We do everything from Monteverdi to Mozart to Mahler, and we also have a summer school every year where we do things that are slightly different and often slightly more relaxed. We do popular songs. Last year, well, year before I should say, we did Bohemian Rhapsody. We've done Bridge Over Troubled Water. This year, we're going to be learning a fabulous array of music, including Something Inside So Strong by Labi Siffre. We're going to do I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free, which is another fabulous song. And we're going to be doing a world premiere of a piece which started life as a saxophone concerto by the wonderful composer Eric Weatherall, who was a dear, dear friend of mine. He very sadly died in 2021, though he was 95, and he had an incredible career spanning, well, nearly a century of music making. His compositional style, well, he always said he felt he was born in the wrong decade because he was drawn to the sounds of the 1920s, the 1930s of jazz, of early jazz. And this saxophone concerto, which to this date has not yet been actually published but has been performed by a number of great musicians, was one of the first times I heard his music. I've arranged the second movement of his saxophone concerto and turned it into a Vocalise. And Choir of the Earth, we will be recording the world premiere performance of this, and it's going to be the the highlight, I think, of our summer school program this year. So I wanted to play all of you the full recording of this. It's very, very special. We're going to have the wonderful Ben Waghorn, who is a professional saxophonist and the originator in many ways of this saxophone part, play for us. But this is the guide tracks mixed in with a version of the saxophone concerto that Eric himself conducted in the 1990s. So Fieri are singing with Eric's performance with the saxophone recorded back then. So it's effectively entirely conducted by the composer himself. And this is our Vocalise. I do hope you enjoy it, everyone. Here we go. Well, it's fair to say that's a piece that means the world to me and to everyone who knew Eric. And I'm thrilled that Choir of the Earth is going to be the first group in the world to perform that piece both online and in person in Bristol as part of our Summer School Live 25. So thank you so much everyone for being with us this evening. I really hope you enjoyed it, particularly to anyone who is watching us for the first time who would like to come and be part of our wonderful group. Well, you can join in with our sectional rehearsals this week as we're learning the Sanctus. And if you are interested, please do have a look at our website. You can join in with our amazing music. We've got so much coming up this year. Kyries, we've got a wonderful summer school, Handel's Messiah. Later this year, another world premiere, The Wedding at Cana by Patrick Hawes. And then next year, we've got the Bird Mass of 5 voices. We have more Haydn. We have Bach cantatas. We have Tippett spirituals. We have the most phenomenal programme. And there's nothing quite like us here at Choir of the Earth. So enjoy the rest of your day. I'll look forward to seeing you at your sectional rehearsals, and all the very best, everyone. See you soon. Bye.